Up next is the App of the Week segment. This is a segment dedicated to app demonstrations. Should you have an app that you would like to demonstrate for our listeners, feel free to send us the recording of such an app demo to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your App of the Week.
What I think we can do now is move on to our App of the Week section, and we talk about the Aggregator, which is an RSS reader, and Warren's going to demonstrate that for us.
Hi, Warren here for Blind Android Users Podcast, and for episode 209 App of the Week, this is demonstrating Aggregator News RSS Reader. For today's episode, I am utilizing my old device in the way of the Pixel 4 running Android 13 and TalkBack 15.1. I am on the play page of Aggregator News, that is Aggregator, and will now navigate to the About, so we hear the description of the app, and then I'll come back and install and proceed from here. Let's now move to the About.
About this app heading. Google Play Store. Aggregator News RSS Reader details. Aggregator News RSS Feed Reader. Read news for free quickly without ads. Aggregator News is an RSS feed reader to read news for free quickly without ads. The application allows you to quickly aggregate information from various sources, enabling you to have all the news grouped and organized in one place. Unlike social networks, where article priority is determined by algorithms, in this app news remains in chronological order. Goals. 1. Quickly stay informed, saving time by avoiding checking dozens of websites. 2. Enjoy a distraction-free and ad-free interface. 3. Receive personalized news based on your interests. 3. The application is completely free, without ads and registration. Configuration. In the initial setup and settings, customize language and followed topics, sports, motors, travel, music. Period. Sources. You can add other sites by searching for the address or checking popular, recommended ones. Compatibility. You can follow all sites that support RSS Atom. If a site doesn't support it, you can use its Google News address. Layout. By default, news is displayed in a scrollable list. Alternatively, you can view one article per page with an image, title, and description. Privacy. The app is private, saving preferences locally, requiring no email or account. No data is stored elsewhere. Categories. You can categorize followed sites into different tabs on the main screen. Lists. Through Read Later and Favorites, you can save articles for later viewing. Sharing. Through Copy Link and Share, you can send news to other apps and people. Offline. Without internet, you can continue to view previously downloaded content. Customization. In settings, customize colors, language, news limit, dark mode, images, and more. Filters. Exclude news containing specific words through settings and parental control. Under the hood. News is retrieved from the internet via HTTP requests from RSS feeds, similar to Google News. Essential information, title, date, time, is extracted from XML and saved locally in an SQLite database. Images and descriptions are retrieved from site metadata, similar to WhatsApp. Technologies. Language, Dart, Framework, Flutter, Design, Material Design 3. Optimization. The application is built to use minimal internet, loading thousands of news in a few MB by reading only textual data. To minimize network requests, the cache is used and automatically emptied after a few hours. Old articles are automatically deleted. Performance. Loads hundreds of sites in a few seconds. Network requests are made in parallel, any offline sites are ignored, and there's a maximum connection time for slow ones. Battery. Thanks to the absence of background processes, syncs, and notifications, the app doesn't consume battery once closed by the user. Migrations. Through OPML import-export, you can transfer feeds to other devices or migrate from other RSS readers. Alternatives. An alternative to Feedly, Flipboard, Google News, Aggregator Next, Greeter, Feeder, INOREADER, Microsoft Start, Samsung News, Opera News, Scooper News, AP Mobile, InShorts, Bundle Breaking News, NewsPoint, News Suite, Sony, PLENARIA, Squid, FLYM News Reader Update, Pluma RSS Reader, PALABRE, FeedMe, Newsblur, FXUS Reader, Local News, Just RSS, Nextcloud News, READEROO, Tech News, Laser News, Noteasy, LOCALI News Radar, News Aggregator RSS, Latest News. Contact Aggregator News at Proton.me. App Info. Version 1.4.0. Updated on November 13, 2024. Downloads 5,000 plus downloads. Download size 11.59 megabytes. Required OS Android 5.0 and up. Offered by Andrea A. Released on January 11, 2024.
And that's both the description of the app and the history of the app. I'll now navigate my way back to the installation page and tap on that install and proceed from here.
Play Store. About this app heading. Install button. Navigate up button.
I am certain that the app has been installed and now we'll tap on Open.
Open button. Aggregator News. Aggregator is a news reader platform for reading your favorite websites.
I am now on the tutorial page, and that's the first page, and here's what we encounter.
Aggregator News. Aggregator is a news reader platform for reading your favorite websites.
I'm just moving through.
RSS feed reader. Choose language. English. EN.
And here we have a list of languages you can choose from. And for example, we've got languages like
Italiano, Espanol, Francais, Deutsch, Russian, Portuguese, Polski, Japanese, Chinese, Hindi, Czech, CS.
And on it goes. You got the drift. I'm going to scroll back to the top and tap on English.
English, EN.
And I'll tap. Tapping on a language selects it as your preferred language, and at the bottom is the Next button.
Next button. Next button.
We are now on page 2 of the tutorial, and here's what we encounter.
Aggregator News. RSS feed reader. Features. Updated news. Choose information sources. Customizable. Set categories, colors, and layout. 3. No account or email required. Without advertising. No notifications or tracking.
And at the bottom,
Next button.
we tap on Next.
Next button.
We are now on page 3 of the tutorial, and from the top we got,
Choose your interests.
we come across interests now, in other words, categories that you would like to follow. And some of the categories include the following, and these are arranged in rows. So you got like 3 or so on each row, and then you move from row to row. You choose the category that you're interested in by tapping on it, and once you tap on a category, that is checked as a selection. Here are some of the categories that you can choose from.
News button.
And moving right,
Technology button.
I'm going to choose technology. And to the right,
Sport button.
and now on the second row,
Motors button.
to the right,
Business button.
to the right,
Finance button.
then the next line,
Programming button.
and to the right,
Gaming button.
and right.
Science button.
You got the drift. Now I'll simply tap on the next at the bottom. Remember that if you need to choose a category, you have to tap on it. So far, I have only tapped on one, and that's technology. I'll now tap on next.
Next button. Alert. Updating news. Ghacks.net. 666. Aggregator. Button. Detected icon. Search. Image text. Description accuracy. Low.
As you can hear, TalkBack is doing the heavy lifting of some of the buttons here. In other words, there are 3 buttons near the top right that are not labeled, and TalkBack, if you are using TalkBack, we are in the main UI, and the first button that we heard was that search button there. So like I said, there are 3 buttons, and to the right of that,
Button. Detected icon. Refresh. Image.
that's the refresh button, and the last button on the top right corner is the settings button.
Button. Detected icon. Settings. Image.
Now, below all of these are the articles that have been fetched from the category that I'm following, and in this case, I'm following the technology category. Here are some of the items.
Digitaltrends.com. Today 13/17. Samsung Galaxy Book 5360 Pro versus MacBook Air 15, a narrower gap button. Slashgear.com. Today 13/15. Can you pair an...
You got the idea. Now, at the bottom, though, we have some 4 tabs, and by default, the categories that you are following or articles from the categories that you're following will be the default. So, for example, if I put my finger near the bottom left,
Selected sites followed. Tab 1 of 4.
and I'm being told that the selected is the sites that are being followed, and that's the technology, and that's why we saw those things there in the main UI of the app. To the right of that, we've got
Categories. Tab 2 of 4.
we have the categories. So, for example, if you decide you want to add another category to what you've chosen prior, you could tap here to go choose such a category that you're after. It also has a search where you could also search for what you're looking for. To the right of the categories, we've got
Favorites. Tab 3 of 4.
the favorites tab. In other words, when you favor a particular article, it will be saved here in the favorites. The last item that we have to the right is a read later.
Read later. Tab 4 of 4.
Of course, you don't have the time to read something, you decide to put it in the read later. That will go into this tab. Let's now navigate our way though to the top of the screen. That's tapping on the settings there on the top right, and take a look at what we have in the settings.
Button. Detected icon. Settings. Image the logo with the logo. Pop-up menu. Settings button.
Upon tapping on the settings, we're landed on a button that simply says settings. And I do want to mention that there's a rectangular box that is on the left, right, top, and bottom part. We have a rectangular box that is surrounding all of this. So if you're familiar with the Samsung One UI, most especially when you mash down those power and down volume keys, then you have items like power off, restart, and all of that. Surrounding that on either side or the top and bottom, if you touch any of those areas, you will hear power menu. In this case, with this app, if you touch the left, the right, the top, or the bottom, you will hear dismiss. That's the rectangular box that is surrounding them. Now, if you are a swiper and if you swipe, you will just be getting through the items here. But if you're not a swiper and you move your finger slightly to the left, not to the edge of the phone, you're not going to hear anything because the items that are here are on the right half side of the phone. So we got settings button, and below that,
Change layout button.
below that,
Hide menu bars button.
next,
Mark all as read button.
next,
Mark all as unread button.
and that's the last item. Of course, if you're a swiper and if you swipe, you will hear dismiss.
Dismiss menu.
That's what I'm talking about. Now let's go back though up to the top and tap on that settings button.
Settings button.
Here's the settings, and I'll tap.
Settings. Back button.
Tapping on settings, we're landed on the back button found near the top left corner, and then to the right top corner we have the refresh button.
Button window settings. Detected icon. Refresh. Image the logo of the company.
And now below all of that, we have the items found by tapping on the settings button on the prior screen. Here's what we got.
Country.
Next,
Initial configuration. Tap to reset preferences and interests.
next,
Language. Interface and news. English button.
and of course, if you want to change your language, you tap here to go change that language. Next.
Theming.
We come across the theming now, whether you want a dark theme, light theme, or whatever. By default, it follows your system theming.
Theme. Main color. System button.
Next,
App bar. Customize header. Dark button. Disabled.
next,
Page indicator. Personalize indicator. Circle button.
next,
Text. Font family. Default button.
next,
Font size. Dimensions. 100% button. Showing items 1 to 2 of 2.
Next.
Hide menu bars. Reduce space used. Showing items 1 to 2 of 2.
And to the right of that is an on/off switch.
Off switch. Detected image the logo.
Next.
Auto hide bottom bar. Hide bottom bar on scroll.
In other words, what's going on here is that while you're in the menu eye and you're scrolling through the articles found in the menu eye, those tabs at the bottom, I'm talking about tabs like sites being followed, categories, settings, and all of that, those tabs will be hidden. In order to show them again, you'll be scrolling back to top and they will show. Now, if you do not want those to be hidden while you're scrolling down, then to the right of this is an on/off switch that you can turn off. By default, is set to the on position.
On switch.
Now, below here, we have some other tabs, and these are the following. Starting from the bottom,
Selected preferences. Tab.
we have the preferences, and so by default, when we tap on that settings button, we are now in the preferences. To the right of that,
News. Tab 2 of 4.
we have news tab. To the right of that,
Advanced. Tab 3 of 4.
we have the advanced, and the last item here is the info button. That is the information about the app.
Info. Tab 4 of 4.
That's what we have. Let's quickly take a look at these tabs and see what they entail. We'll start though with the news, since we already have seen what the preferences has, which is by default when we tapped on that settings button on the previous page.
News. Tab 2 of 4.
I'll tap on news.
News. Tab 2 of 4. Selected.
Upon tapping on news starting from the top, here's what we got.
Visualization.
Next.
News layout. Scrollable list or article page. List button.
And by default is in a list. If you want it like in a grid, you could tap here to go change that. Next.
Open news. Mode. Show options button.
Next.
Hide read articles. Don't show read articles.
And to the right of that, we have an off/on switch.
Off switch. Detected
Next.
image the hide all tab button. Don't show all tab button.
And to the right of it,
Off switch. Detected image
Next.
the logo in the storage.
we come across a storage now, and
Load images. Download image from network.
it's totally up to you if you want the images to be shown while you're reading something. You could let them be shown, and by default they're on. If you don't want it, to the right of this is an on/off switch.
On switch. Detected image the logo.
Next,
Configuration. Showing items 1 to 3 of 3.
we come to the configuration, and below that,
Days limit. Shows news from the last few days. All button. Showing items 1 to 3 of 3.
and if you want to change it to something else, you tap here to go change it. Next,
Feed limit. Max number of feed to fetch per each site. 20 items button.
in other words, it will only fetch 20 articles from each site. Now, if you want more, you could tap here to go change it to the desired number of feeds you want to be fetched. Next,
Refresh on start. Auto refresh on start after a specific time. 1 hour button.
and you could change that. It's totally up to you. And that's the last item there in that area. Next, let's take a look at
Advanced. Tab 3 of 4.
advanced.
Advanced. Tab 3 of 4.
Tapping on advanced and starting from the top, here's what we got.
Network.
We have network,
Timeout. Connection waiting time. 8 seconds button.
you could tap in here to change it to what you want.
Connection delay. Delay between connections. 50 milliseconds button.
Again, you can go in here and change it.
Simultaneous connections. Number of parallel requests. 20 button.
Again, you can go in here and change it to what you want.
Blacklist.
We come across blacklist
Parental block. Block unwanted content.
and
Off switch.
the
Detected
off
image the
switch
logo
there
in
to the right of it, and below that,
edit box custom block list.
And here you could specify what words you would like to be blocked, because this is under parental rules. And if you don't want kids to see certain words, you could type those words here, like word 1, word 2, and things like that, and filling in the words that you want to be blocked out. That's all that we have. And now, next, let's take a look at the Info tab.
Info, tab 4 of 4.
Tapping on the info, starting from the top, here's what we got.
Information. Aggregator News, RSS feed reader. Version, v.1.4.0 build.24. Package name, com and 96, aggregator _news. Developer, Andrea.
And that's the last item. I'll now go back though to the main UI of the app.
Aggregator, heading.
I am now in the main UI of the app, and I'll put my finger down on one of these articles. And in order to read an article, you either just simply tap on it, or you could long press on it. Now, I want to take a little bit of a time to say what I don't like about the app. Outside of the unlabeled buttons, which Talkback already doing the heavy lifting by labeling those buttons for you, the one thing that I'm not particularly enthused about with this app is the fact that it does not have a native reader. In other words, when you tap on an article, for example, then you have to open it on the website. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and again, you could either just long press or tap. It doesn't matter which one you do. It'll take you to the same place. So let's find one of the articles.
TechRadar.com, today 13/17.
Here's TechRadar, for example. If I tap,
Alert, TechRadar.com button.
the first thing we're told is the name of the site the news is coming from. And to the right of that
Button. Detected icon close, image text,
is the close button. Now below that,
https://
it gives you the URL. And moving on down,
read on the website.
we have across the middle of the font there that says read on the website. And that's the only way you're going to be able to read it. Like I said, it does not have a native reader. And now below here, we've got a couple rows of buttons. There's 2 on each row. So there's 1 to the left, 1 to the right. And then below that, another row with 1 to the left and 1 to the right. Here are the buttons we encounter. On the first row, we got, starting from the left,
Read later.
Read later, meaning if I tap here, it's going to push it out to the read later tab that we saw in the main UI. And to the right of that,
Save to favorites.
we have the save to favorites. That is, if I tap, it's going to move it to the favorites tab. Now the last buttons below here are, starting from the left,
Copy, link,
you could copy the link, or the last button on the right
share, link.
is the share link. I'm going to tap on that read later.
Read later.
Tap.
Added to read later. Aggregator, TechRadar.com. To
Tapping on read later, or if you tap on save to favorites, it saves it to the favorites or to the read later, and then returns you to the main UI of the app. Let's now go ahead and tap on the read later tab and see if indeed the article from TechRadar that I just sent to that tab is indeed in there.
read later. Tab 4 of 4.
Here's that read later, and I tap.
Read later 1. Back button.
We heard read later and then back button, which is there on the top left corner, and then to the top right corner is that refresh button. Now, moving my finger down, I should be able to encounter what I just saved to the read later.
TechRadar.com. Today 13/17. OpenAI's new AI.
There we go. So that's what I have saved. Now, in order to read that, you'll have to tap on it, just like we tapped on it from the main UI. And again, we'll be encountering the same layout. For example, if I tap,
Alert. Remove. Link.
we're landed on the remove button, but above that we have
TechRadar.com button.
the name of the site, and to the right of it we'll have that close button.
Button.
And below that will be the URL.
HT.
And then below that,
Read on the website.
read on the website. And then below that, we have the set of buttons, just like we had on the other page when we tap on an article from the main UI. So we got a couple rows. And the first one is
Remove. Link.
remove, and to the right of it.
Salvo to. Favorites.
And then below the remove button, we got,
Copy. Link.
and then below that favor
Share. Link.
is the share. And of course, remember that we still have that box around it. So if you're a swiper, you swipe, you're going to hear dismiss.
Dismiss.
That's what we have. Now I'm going to tap on remove.
Remove. Link. Deleted. Read later. Back button.
We heard deleted, read later, and back button there on the top. If I move my finger down toward the middle of the phone,
No item saved in this list.
no item saved in this list because I just removed it. I'll now go back though to the main UI of the app.
Aggregator. Read later. Tab 4 of 4.
And now you have an understanding of the Aggregator News RSS Reader. We could go on, but you could go into this on your own and check out all the different things that are relating to the Aggregator News. I simply wish that we have a native reader, and this will be probably one of the best apps out there. Thanks for listening.
I've got to say, RSS is never something I've particularly got into. It isn't a way that I tend to consume news, rightly or wrongly. Does anyone else use them?
I have readers like that, and with this one, it's just not. It has different categories. So if you want like news, like regular papers or whatever, you could have that as well. So it's totally up to the person, but people stay on top of articles, and we have, like, again, we're talking about choices here again in Android. So if you want a choice to be able to have it in one central place, this would be it.
Oh no, I'm not absolutely not criticizing RSS readers, as I was criticizing your silly idea about keyboards on the app drawer earlier.
Nah, my keyboard. You can't criticize my keyboard, my boy. That's a beautiful thing.
I'm interested whether people use them. I just never have really used RSS, particularly. I mean, obviously, podcast is underpinned by RSS, so I subscribe to those. But John, do you use RSS readers?
No, I don't. So when Warren did the demo for StreamSphere a few months ago, I did try that, and I did use it for a little bit, but I eventually just go back to like using Google News or something like that.
Yeah, I'm similar. Not that one, but I use other ones. Karine, are you an RSS reader fan?
I don't know what's where things. I don't know why, but I'm like you. I don't use them. I haven't seen a need to actually. So for this reason.
Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll try and use an RSS reader for a week to see what all the fuss is about. But I never really have. I don't know. But yeah, just not something I've done really.
But in reality, whether you use an RSS reader or not, and you're using Google News, it's still the same thing, because all you are doing, you're aggregating news across from the web, and they're basically doing one and the same thing. So it just depends. It's just the wording. It doesn't matter what you use. You are still aggregating news from across the web, and you choose what app you use or what service you use in aggregating that news. So I don't see the difference.
Warren, can I just say, you buy Pixels, you wanted a keyboard over the app drawer. In reality, are words that should not cross your lips, because you are nowhere near reality.
Oh, another cow thief and a belly acher. But in reality, it's the same thing.
And especially with this app, because, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't tried it out yet, but I think by listening to the demo, you pointed out that you can't actually read the articles within the app. it just sends you to the websites to read the articles. Is that how it works?
Yeah, and that's the part that I don't like about
Yeah,
the
so
app.
that makes it exactly like something like
Yeah,
Google News, because that's how
exactly.
Google News works. Whereas other RSS readers like StreamSphere I mentioned earlier, like you can read it from within the app.
Exactly, natively within the app, and that's what I was looking for. That is not, and I may be nitpicking on that, but frankly, I would love for it to be the article to be right in there, so that I don't have to go to the web page. Because some web pages, let's be honest, sometimes are a little bit notorious. But of course, we have different ways of combating those problems. Whether you invoke the what's that thing we have? Reading mode. Is that what it's called? Reading mode
Yeah.
app or whatever you use, or invoking the assistant to read it. But I kind of prefer the native within the app to read it. But this is not part of that app. Is the one thing that I think is missing.